compliance, and unfortunately now it's tested positive for COVID. So we hope he gets over that pretty quick. So
I've been trying not to bug him too much.
he would probably welcome it, I imagine at this point. First page, your assets and liabilities fund balance as of April 4th, or today actually, and a year ago. Just a big change in your cash balance, which is pretty much all just net income type stuff. So there wasn't anything shifted around or anything like that. So next page, your revenue collected and expenses paid is for the general fund. This is for the month, March 8th through April 4th. When you look at the comparison between the two, that miscellaneous income line in last year, you'd received Rebuild Illinois funds. And this year, none of that in this particular month. Repairs and maintenance, you had last year you had $1,400 to overhead door and a few other smaller ones, which is the main difference there. And then your contract labor, you'd paid someone to clean the ditches on the east side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So actually, almost a break-even month, just $270. So then year to date, your main increases are your personal personal property tax revenue and your income tax revenue. The governor says that Illinois came out of the pandemic well, and now supposedly we got all kinds of revenue now. But yeah. Anyway, like with all governments, they don't have a revenue problem; they have a spending problem. So that's for them to figure out. Going down once again, your comparison here. Legal and audit is up a little bit, and I think that's because there was one additional legal bill in there for this year that wasn't in there last year. Also, some professional fees for asbestos removal or
Asbestos inspection. And we had to do like four. Yeah, at $1,300 a pop or something like that.
Okay. Repairs and maintenance. The big item is the tree removal for 19.5. There was also some the signs and a mower in there too, but the rest of them are pretty well. I mean, self-explanatory. The police salary, of course.
Yep.
Once again, the $4,300 cleaning the ditches, and the contract labor was a survey. So it's the main differences between the two. Actually, spent more, or we have spent more year to date than what we've taken in by 16,870. Which is once again the kind of the tree removal again.
Well, the tree removal got reimbursed.
Oh, okay.
But the asbestos inspections and the
Sure.
demolitions and all that is something that a cost we haven't had for years.
Yeah,
It's money well spent, I think.
Yeah, thank you. Building demolition, right at the bottom line. You're looking at $37,000, which we didn't have last year.
And we're gonna have we allotted 50, so we're gonna have another one, the Gray Street burnt house. So that's 4 demolitions at somewhere around 50,000.
Yeah. Next page is just your check register. Nothing there really to nothing outstanding or anything. Looks like all the usual sort of things. Then water fund. You're for the month. You're relatively close actually. Between this year and last year, about $16,000 difference on your cash balances. And a lot of that is mainly due because you're showing net income on the water fund of $27,000 so far year to date, which goes right over to page 7 there. Actually, total income is actually a little down, but expenses are also down. So we're showing a little bit of a loss, but not as much as we had last year. Last year we were at $3,000. This year we're at $19,000. So about $1,000 difference. Main difference there in 22, you had a replacement water pipe for $3,750, and that made is the major difference on your repairs between the two. So then, year to date, I mean, you're very close, you know, on revenue, but within $1,600. You know, all the kind of the usual things as far as repairs, meters and replacement pipe. Last year is the difference between the main difference between the 2 years.
So is it safe to say that our water revenue income is $27-ish thousand a year? That's what we make from selling water.
Oh,
About 27,000
for the year
Yeah.
to date.
for a fiscal year.
Year to date, you're at 87 on your water revenue. The very top line, water revenue, that would be your water sales, year to date, for the fiscal year.
Okay.
Down just a little, like I said, down 1,400 from last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
That just looking towards our future loan for our water
Oh.
system.
Mhm.
If we're bringing in that, we're not going to have any trouble. That's all right. Go
Well,
ahead.
Yeah,
But
oh,
once
that's
you
right,
take
you know,
everything
you're.
out of it, that's where your 27 is coming in,
Oh, yeah.
right? After you've
That-
taken your
Yes, that's after
expenses.
expenses,
Yeah,
yes.
that's even then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Revenue wise, you're 11 months into the year, so you're about, you know, 8,000 a month.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
all right. Next thing's check register. Once again, just a listing of your checks, nothing there that's really outstanding or anything to focus on. Excuse me. So page 11 is your sewer fund. Your cash balance, you're at 22,000 over where you were at this date last year. And that also relates right to net income, because your net income is 20,000, so, all right there in the bank, so. Not a lot of activity for the month. I mean, your revenue's just, within $365, you're at 2589. Not much in the way of expenses, just eating light and accounting fees, and still down a little bit from last year. No, actually expenses were up, but net income, you're down just slightly, $460. So nothing really much to worry about there. Then next page, page 13, that's your year to date, your fiscal year to date, and you know, once again, if you were looking at it on a per month basis, you know, you got 36,000 by 11. You're a little over, excuse me, a little over 3,000. They're probably around 3,200 there. And repairs, there's just not much difference at all in your repairs and maintenance. So really, not anything to
Not this
note. Yeah. So.
The only sewer maintenance we've had is we've had a couple lines on East Street that had to be bored out.
The check register, and then motor fuel tax. You're up considerably, well, cash wise, you're up 26,000 from where you were on this date last year. Net income wise, you're a little short of last year. You're 19.6, where last year you were 21,000. So just a little bit behind where it was last year. For the month, there wasn't any activity in motor fuel. No revenues, no expenses. Fiscal year to date, your revenue is off about 2,100, almost 2,200. And expenses though is off. Well, you don't have any expenses either for the fiscal year either. So, so we're good there.
That may change next summer.
You know, yeah, check register, and then your water bills. So,
Okay.
any questions or anything that I need to take back to Bob, or?
I don't believe so. I think it looks good to me. You got any questions?
Nope, I don't.
All right, I would like to ask for a motion to approve the financials.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
I-
All right. Visitor comments. Roger don't have anything. So I invited Mr. Reed over to the meeting. He owns the yellow house on Miller Street, the 140 Miller. It's across from Mom and Dad's driveway, and then behind my other one. So I had asked him to report on what the status of the house was. Are we demolishing or fixing up or maybe selling, or since it is otherwise abandoned and derelict in our opinion. So is there a report on what you think you might do with the house?
I received communication from Cliff about a month ago, roughly.
Probably.
3 weeks
Yeah,
or so ago.
shortly after the meeting.
First contact I've had from the Village of Polk about the property. So more than anything, I just wanted to have somewhat of an open conversation. I've got a couple bullet points to talk about. You asked what the intentions are, what my intentions are with the property, and that's somewhat open.
Mhm.
So obviously options of demolition, options of rehab. But there's some things that come into play with making that decision process on my end that I'm not clear what the Village of Hole's regulations are on new construction. So anyhow, the first thing I'd like to bring up is what is the village, what's your guys' vision? What do you want to see done with the house?
So
Because I kind of see it as something, I see it up there on your list, fix or flatten, in progress.
that was when we thought someone else owned the house.
Okay?
When I found out you owned the house,
Mhm.
that's when I contacted you because the county doesn't have your address
Mhm.
on the deed. So I reached out in unconventional manner. I got adding through Messenger. And so anybody knew the meeting. So there is no fix or flatten process yet.
Okay.
So
This is kind of square one to open up conversation about the property.
yes,
Okay.
we'd just like to know what, you know.
What would so if it was on the list, then I imagine it will retain on the list, right? As far as what you guys want to see something
is.
done with.
It's
So
yeah.
what ideally for the Village of Hull would they see done with the house? Do you want to see a vacant lot that's just mowed? Do you want to see an inhabitable home?
We want a
Somebody
home.
living there?
Yeah, we want something that's a home that stays on the tax roll for us.
Yes.
Because every property that gets torn down, we've torn down 3, 4, 5 total this year that were abandoned,
Mhm.
and we tore them down through
Yep.
legal means.
Yep, and being as you guys just, what you went over, obviously, we're all fresh on what that cost is to tear down. Or at least what the cost is to the village.
Yeah, we spent 50 grand this year. So it's
On
not.
what, 4 houses?
Yeah.
4?
So the best thing we could hope for is for them to stay on the tax roll. The ones we tore down were not savable. That house is got possibly savable, but it can't stay the way it is.
Yes.
So that's we would like to see it fixed
Yep.
for the benefit of the town.
So that kind of helps me, so we're on the same page as far as what's in benefit for you guys, and then also I've got to consider what's in best benefit for me.
Yep.
But like I said, I'm open to conversation,
Oh yeah.
because if things align, where benefits both parties, that's obviously your best case scenario.
We had tried
Mutual
conversation when with who we thought was the owner,
Mhm.
and it went nowhere. It's still there.
So with that, I'll kind of jump to my second thing I wanted to touch base on, and I'll try to be brief here. I know it's Monday evening, and I, like you guys, probably have other things that need tending to as well. But so the options I have to choose from are demo or rehab.
Yep.
If I demo the property, there's a few things that I'm not 100% clear on, and that's what the statutes are here for building something new.
Okay, I can get that to you, and the exact code that we have elected 4 years ago, 5 years ago. It's basically there's not much in it. It's a standard building code.
Okay.
Before you leave, I
Okay.
can't give you our copy of it, but I can
Yep.
tell you what it is, and you can get your own copy.
Which, so you guys do know, I did speak to Chris today over the phone.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just out of wanting to have a little bit of conversation with him
Yeah.
about the matter leading up to this meeting. the main premise the reason I bring up what your guys' building restrictions, codes, regulations is you go tearing the thing down, let's say it comes down. When I go back, what's that cost gonna be to go back? I've heard some rumors that in Hull you've gotta have a concrete sidewalls, foundation, do the floodplain. I have no merit of, that's not factual based off anything.
That's all written out in the building code, but right now, there are no special anything
Because,
you have to do.
if it were to be demoed, at the point of demolition is when you would want to, it makes sense to go ahead and remove the foundation or remove it to such point that it wouldn't interfere with a new foundation.
Mhm.
And then assessing whether the existing foundation is worthy of some repair and something going back on it. I
Right.
don't know if, obviously, where your location is, most things are probably sitting on a crawl space.
Yeah, there's not a lot of basements in Hull. There are
Yeah.
some.
So, whether there's any restrictions on a slab, where you take the existing foundation, infill it to a certain point, and pour a slab,
Right.
and go
That's-
back on top of it.
That's allowed.
So with that being said, and then obviously there's the option of rehab, there's some particular things I don't like about the property. For me, it's not where I'm gonna be living
Mhm.
at my own house. So the way it's all cut up, right, doesn't make a lot of sense for having as a property you rent out or
Yeah.
resell doesn't matter as much, other than the fact it's not marketable as well because it's all cut up. But for a rental, it doesn't make any sense. You've got how many areas that are prone to leaking,
Mhm.
right? So there's some things that would sway me against wanting to rehab that to begin with, and then extensive. That would be the biggest thing. So
Yeah.
it takes time. I mean, qualified to do it. Got a background in residential construction, 6-7 years, 5 years there at Heimer Construction. Still do a lot of work on the side. It's not a matter so much of how long it would take. It wouldn't take that long. It's a matter of how much time I can string consecutively together,
Right.
right? So that would be one topic I want to bring up here is time frame. Whether it be one or the other of those two options, what is the village looking at this?
There isn't one. The way I've always worked with people, if there's open communication
Mhm.
and there's progress, we'll give you as much time as you need.
Okay.
If there's progress, so what we ran into when we issued a demolition permit for it,
Mhm.
and that was almost a year ago.
Mhm.
Nothing's happened.
Yep. How
course.
long is that demolition permit good for? If once the time filled out,
I believe it was 60 days, wasn't it?
the 60-day window.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I'd have to look one up.
Do you guys have a copy of your demolition permits that I could get from you?
Yep.
So I could take a look at it?
Yep.
Okay.
It basically, long story short, if you're going to tear that demolition permit is to keep from someone just knocking a house down
Yep.
and then leaving a crappy foundation that sits 4 feet in the air, and then we didn't really get anywhere. It still looks like crap. So it basically states that if you're going to tear it down, graded, flat,
Yep.
all the way
Whether
out.
you can fold it in and backfill it, or whether you remove
I don't-
it and haul it out, it doesn't matter. to
Don't
the
care what you
township,
do with it.
As long as it is
As long as you're
flat soil that can grow grass.
not violating any EPA problems, it doesn't matter to me what you do with it.
Understand? Okay, I would probably propose, that's kind of my third thing here. I mentioned to Cliff in our communication, 3 weeks ago or whatever it was, that there was a lot of questions I had. That's part of why I talked to Chris today. I think one of the main benefits I gleaned from him is the informalness of it with you guys. That's fine. The thing I always kind of caution myself and really anybody else on informalness is that, let's say we get in a situation and it's somewhat informal and there's not a set process, where we can go back to a document that has to be filled out and say, oh,
Right.
well, see, we all agreed on this, or we all did this with this form. What could inevitably happen, with that house, let's do a quick hypothetical. I tear it down and I tell the guy to demo it, that's demoing it, hey, leave the foundation, I'm gonna assess it. Or once you get the house off of it, let me assess it. I look at it and there's nothing in what I've gotten from you guys that states that I can't leave that foundation, backfill it up, pour slab on top of it, and build it. But I go down that road and I get partway through it, and then somebody says, "Whoa, wait a second, this building code
Right.
thing in the small print in the
And
fine
that's-
corner of subsection C128 says you can't do that." You know, that's what I don't want to happen.
Well, that's why I'm glad you came, so that I don't have to talk to somebody behind the scenes and then report it, and that person might say that's not what I said. I'm just super happy you came
Okay.
to talk about it. Like I said, if we got communication and there's progress, the only thing that can't happen is it sits the way it is.
Yep.
And I think that what we're trying to do is clean the town up if it's abandoned, falling down properties.
Okay.
And that one is, shoot, it ain't been lived in for
A lot of years now.
20 plus years at least. So,
Yeah, it's probably been, I mean, I'm not real familiar with the town, but.
yeah. So,
Not much, but I know at the time it was acquired, yeah, it was in the state that it's
Yeah.
in now. And I don't know that it's necessarily progressively gotten a whole lot worse than it was. That would kind of be the only other side note I would put on there. I mean, I'm not really gonna go into the, you know, does it fit all the parameters of the exact statute for a fix or flat? My understanding through Chris is that's something that is, that statute's afforded to all municipalities to move forward with that. But the actual legal language of that, you know, there's one sentence in there that's gonna state danger, you know, dangerous to the public, a hazard to the public, and list a number of other things. So, one thing that I thought is I would be, you know, just out of wanting to have an abundance of understanding is what of those exact things in the statute does that property have that the township is viewing that then brings it into
right.
the fix or flatten?
So, I can get
Boarded
you.
up windows, the roof, you know.
Right. So, when we go the fix or flat route, yes, we follow state statute, but we also have ordinances, which I can provide copies.
Mhm.
Basically a nuisance, harborage for pests or rodents,
Mhm.
open windows. I mean,
There is a safety issue with kids too, because you don't know when they're gonna.
yeah, it
break
has to be
something. I mean,
secure.
yeah.
So, I think everybody could agree if you stand in the street and look at the house, you can tell what's wrong with it. We can put that in words and on paper if you'd like, but
Well, I think that
We see
that
what's-
might be somewhat beneficial. Again, I'm not here to ruffle everybody's feathers by any means.
right.
I'm here to get along, but I also want to have a clean understanding of things because we mentioned some of those things right there, and I put replacement windows in the. If I got to a situation where I needed some time, and more than anything to appease you guys, if I replace the plywood, put replacement windows in the windows, fix the roof areas that you can see that are open, and you know secure the property from any rodents being able to get into it, and put all new locks on any doors or windows where nobody can break in, you know,
That would satisfy me as progress.
as progress.
If you're but if it stops again and there's still a hole in the back of the roof, which
Yes.
there is, you know.
You see what I'm saying? I've got to weigh my odds. I'm somebody. I'm sure we're all well aware. Time is everything. It's not a free, abundant commodity. Right? I work a lot of hours, and we have about 100 head of cattle that me and my fiance take care of. So it's something where the timing is important to me. So knowing and hearing from you that hey, as long as there's a plan and there's some progress, there's not really a set deadline. I value that. I would maybe propose whether I would come in person to the next meeting or maybe just send some communication your guys' way. I don't know if it'd be an email would work best.
If you could send an email and I can just copy it and pass it out to the board
Yep.
so they can see where the updates are.
That would
Where-
be fine.
What we're looking for is a habitable house. We want this town to be full of houses that everybody lives in and nice. So that's one of them on our top of our list because it's, boarded up and holes in the roof. And
Yep.
so
Lastly would just be, I'll plan on between now and your guys' next meeting, doing a little more in-depth investigation in the property, on the property, to kind of assess what my thoughts are on which direction I'd be leaning towards going, and then maybe in that meantime, I could get, like you mentioned, building codes. I don't know if there's a building permit here that lays
There
out
is.
some stuff. I could get a copy of the building permit. Because obviously, like, the big thing for me is where it sits here in the hole. If you tear it down and you build it back, how feasible is it? That it makes any financial sense to,
And that would be,
right?
that'd be totally up to you.
Yes,
Um,
right.
All we want,
And I would have, I mean, my assessment as of right now would be somebody would have to want to live here.
Yeah.
To make that financially feasible, to pay for the demolition, pay for a whole new build. So that's a difficult one, to make that decision. That's kind of where it comes in. If I go tearing it down and then I've got a bunch of hoops to jump through, to build something new and more costly,
you're gonna,
it's likely not gonna happen,
you're gonna find that
right?
our building code is pretty much standard to anything you're gonna find anywhere else. There's nothing special about it. At post-flood, there was, and that's just kind of, if I was building a house in Hull, I'd probably put it up a little bit, out of common sense. But that's another thing you want to think about. You are in a floodplain.
And I don't know if
Sort of.
plans gotta be submitted on something that's new.
Well, we'd just like a rough idea.
Is there?
We're not
is there
gonna
an
get-
inspector?
An inspector?
Yeah, do you guys do part of your building permit,
We-
wiring, electric inspections?
No.
Plumbing inspections prior to the walls being closed up?
That would all be stated in the building code,
Okay.
but no, we don't have any inspectors. Like
Be pretty,
we're not gonna, the county might for zoning and that stuff, but you're not gonna find anything different than you'd be building in Pittsfield or Palmyra or.
small town, fairly.
We don't have anything special.
Talk about it, ham at this point, come look at it if you want to.
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yep. Okay.
I think as far as the electrical, I think the most inspection they did, even back in '93, was came out and checked all the box after a lot of it was done. There wasn't
Maintain.
it wasn't that a
Yeah,
special
maintain.
contractor had to do it. The owner can do it, but I think they checked it out when they hooked the electric up.
So, all right, well, that's, so just keep us updated.
This, a couple, before we move on, just a couple quick follow-ups on that, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
I had a nice conversation with Mr. Reed, as he said today. And I just want to reiterate for the board's understanding and approval, this particular property has not advanced in the fix or flatten.
No, it's not.
So there was a demolition permit
That's our code.
prepared. Not sure who it was issued to. But when I spoke to Clifton and asked him about the permit, he directed me to the 2012 International Building Code, which I don't have a copy of the ordinance under which it was adopted. If you say it was done 4 or 5 years ago.
I can get it for you if you need it.
Well, it's something that we all, if I've never seen it before, I don't know if anybody else has. I just don't know. That's
Right.
part of the issue of, being organized, okay? But for purposes of tonight's discussion, the International Building Code is a code that is in wide adoption, not just in the United States, but in other countries, states, municipalities. And it contains very specific rules and regulations concerning building development within the municipality. In this particular instance, and I have to admit, this is a good discussion because if the objective is to encourage the development of residential properties in Hull, we all have to understand going forward, and this may be a useful, this whole project may be a useful learning lesson for us. I was just plucking around on the phone, and the Illinois Department of Illinois Department of Natural Resources has a very nice pamphlet on development in floodplains. Now, I look at the Illinois State Water Survey actually issues these very detailed floodplain maps. If I look at the one on Hull, I don't understand it, okay? Because it's layered.
Yep.
Okay, so there may be parts of Hull that are actually protected by the levee, and there may be parts that are not.
That's true. It goes right down the middle of Main Street.
Okay,
Elm
so
Street.
I don't know where this property is, but the development regulations for the state, as opposed to the city, may be different, okay? And I think it's gonna be up to the municipality, up to the Village of Hull, to determine ultimately whether or not there's gonna be any variances granted for the purposes of floodplain, non-protected areas. But that doesn't speak to the insurability of the property necessarily. So there's problems attendant to putting residences down here, and I'm sure everybody
Yes.
who's been alive for more than 30 years knows that a lot of this is in a floodplain. So that has to be considered whether or not a particular development needs to be approved by the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. Since we have not gone forward with any type of unsafe buildings action on this property, which by the way is to be encouraged, because why pay me to do something you can avoid doing? I'm very much in favor of that. But it may be that going forward, we do want to have some type of written agreement for redevelopment once we understand a little bit better. And I'm happy to review. Here's another thing about the International Building Code. It ain't free, okay? If you want to read your own copy, you have to buy it from the International.
It's about $400 a copy.
Yeah. So to the extent that we can pirate photocopies, are we being broadcast, by the way?
Yes.
I don't want to break any copyright laws. Okay, so it may be
Right.
up to, I don't know who's listening in on our little public meeting here, but to the extent that we can disseminate this information without having to pay $400 in additional development costs, we should consider doing that. So, Clifton, I can get with you on identifying the specific code provisions, and then I can issue either a letter or a summary of what the city's requirements are going to be, so that Mr. Reed can put his pencil to paper and figure out what it's going to cost him to put a nice little residence for either sale or lease in the village.
And kind of just on that note, maybe it's a good topic to bring up, like Chris says here. You gotta, how do I explain that? I'm gonna go look at what I would call small commercial project tomorrow. Open up the documents to look at it. The spec book that's associated with that small project, 578 pages long, right? So that governs our company throughout that project. There is very small details in those 500 and some pages that can have us on the hook for something that's not real relevant or obvious, maybe on face value of the plans, right? So used to that kind of process and understanding in things. When I look at the feasibility of me doing something down here in new construction, and I'm instructed, IBC 212, or 2012. That's fine. 728 pages long. It's got a lot of small details where you got to go here, and it tells you to look here, and you got to go back here to find your answer. Extremely cumbersome to read through it and understand it cleanly in layman's terms, as we might talk in here. So what I see that could potentially be an issue, and that may make it really simple to me, is get rid of it. You know, is that usually when you deal with somebody that's got this code, if I've got a question about said code, I can go talk to the inspector for that town and he can break it down and me and him can agree that on our interpretation of it. And that's kind of why having some documentation, if anything like that were to move forward, what I can't have happen is to move forward with something and then, well, wait, in this fine print here, you were supposed to do this or you got to do this, and it throws the financial budget for a project for a loop because it wasn't clear. Usually, when there's somebody telling you, hey, you have to do this, this is what's governing you, that's fine, but if I need to ask a question to clarify, somebody should be able to answer that question. I
Right.
could potentially see that being problematic.
Okay.
So,
Well, let's call it, due to kids and time constraints.
yep, I'm good if you
You
guys
do
are.
your research, we'll do ours.
Yep.
And if you would prefer to contact, if you want to communicate with me via email and tag Chris on everything, if, you know, if that would make you comfortable. If
What
Chris,
is your email, by the way?
I'll write it down for you.
Okay. Either that or I can give you mine, and then you can give me an email, I'll have it. Here you go.
It'll work. All right, so we'll do that. And so each one of us will do our research, but thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Like I said, if we have communication and we see some sort of progress, we're great with that. We'll move on to something else. We got plenty of others we need to worry about.
And you know, to me, the main thing would be kind of in the, or I would be phase on that, is that progress isn't always gonna be directly seen, right? Me making progress on how I'm gonna move forward
I mean, we're talking about
takes time.
if
So,
6 months goes by and
Yep,
the weeds are this tall and nothing has
it'll,
changed.
it'll
Well-
stay mowed.
Yeah, I mean, that's where we're at. It's
I understand.
been so many
It
years.
probably has to be reasonably secured from
Yeah.
trespassers,
Right.
vagrants, and
Yep. All right.
village attorneys that need a place to sleep.
All right.
for the evening.
Yeah.
Who, you?
Sometimes, you know,
Need a ride over there?
no, it's okay. I
All right.
have a home tonight.
Hey,
Thank
thank
you,
you
Mr.
guys.
Thank
Nice
you.
to meet all of you.
You too.
Yep, and what was your name?
My name's Sheila.
Sheila? Rob? I didn't catch yours either.
Right.
What was it?
Rodney.
Rodney, okay.
Kelsey.
Kelsey?
Yep.
Nice to meet you, Kelsey.
And
And
Dawn.
Dawn. I know your name because you're who we were trying to get a hold of.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you, guys. You have a
Thank
good
you,
evening.
Rob.
All right, March minutes. Need approval for the March minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second.
All approved.
Aye.
New business was, I'm not gonna go into detail what all I did this last couple of weeks. I've been with, the EPA. I've been with, Nathan Boehner, talking to him about the EPA and all these surveys they're imposing.
Well, I know it's late, but
Well,
I mean,
that's-
I feel like this is kind of
that's-
important. If
that's
it's something
something
that was, that was supposed to be done
No,
on the
sort of.
15th.
Yeah, we were supposed to have had the connection cross survey, they call it, sent out. And
So if
back by
people did
April.
fill it out on Facebook, because I saw it come across Facebook, does that count?
It is not approved to put an EPA document on Facebook.
Okay.
I did not ask for that or approve that. I asked that the,
Some of the people's got that letter. Some of the people in town's got that letter on the cross connection.
did it come in the mail?
Yes.
Alright. Well, one way or another,
Do you have a copy of the mayor, or the letter, Mayor, or Mr. President?
not right on me. I'd have to get it out of my email that Nathan sent to me.
We haven't, who's Nathan?
Our environmental
or our
specialist, our operator, class D.
Okay.
C.
He said that's something different.
There hasn't been any complaint of non-compliance?
Not yet. Not yet. I'm working on it this week. But I may very well be going door to door this week.
Well, no, I mean, that triggered the survey.
Oh no, this is something, they're looking for lead pipes.
Yeah.
So we do a cross connection survey. We've done it every so often.
for X amount of years. But
Well,
they want every single one, every house, and they're saying if someone doesn't submit their cross connection survey, we are to shut the water off.
do these residents have more than one water source on their properties?
No, but it's also asking questions like when was water service connected to this house? My house was built in 1860. I had no idea.
Well, usually, when you speak cross connections, you're talking about buildings that have more than one water source.
No, I don't know why they call it that, but they're asking what the pipes are from the meter to your house, and we have to be able to get access. If they don't answer it, we have to go in their basements, in people's crawl spaces, and look for pipes and tell whether it's lead, plastic, or it's. But for now, our operator is going to turn it in from the surveys. So by April of next year, we will have to physically check the pit and the house side. Us do it. And I don't know who's going to do that, but besides us, I was reminded that Nathan Boehner and my signature are the ones that own the city water. So it will be he or I. So I might have more discussion on that.
But that's
Maybe.
just for the ones that don't have any idea, right?
No.
I mean, we're
Well,
basically gonna
nobody's got
You're
this
still
to
gonna
turn
have
back
to get
in.
into every one of them and view it yourself.
physically verify
Okay.
at the meter and X amount of feet as it comes in the house. Which any volunteers getting crawl spaces?
No.
Okay. So we're working on that. I'm still working on motor fuel. The reason there has been any expenses because the motor fuel paperwork was never filled out. I'm trying to fix that. It's going to take me a couple months. I've been with Miko Engineering, getting them this whole list of everything they need to move forward. I talked with Pepping Stone and Bach to get us new water prints because that's one of the things that they need to go forward.
Hey, while they're at it, you know, when people are gonna put a fence up or do anything they wanna do, and they gotta know where the sewer line's at. What do we got?
We're getting maps.
Okay, so that'll be on that map too with the water lines?
Should be.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
We will have
Yep,
post 1986 maps.
okay,
Finally,
that's good, because
86 is the newest map I found in this building.
we should be able to look at that map and measure out from a pit, whatever.
They did an
Maybe
extensive
you'll know
survey when
exactly
they
where-
replaced the water mains,
Yep,
and he says they have everything. He said if you need whatever put on this map and whatever put on this map, then we'll move it around for you and print it. So that and everything on that whiteboard. So new business. The only thing I had wanted to vote on was we talked about. Just for an example, Richter Farms writes us a check for $3,000 as a donation every year, and it disappears into our general fund. And we don't do anything with it, and they've done it for years. I was hoping that the board would donate flagpoles to the Memorial Day service this year. Last year, while they were saluting, we had 4 or 5 flags fall onto the ground right in front of everybody. The poles need replaced. So I was going to ask if the town would buy new poles for the Memorial Day service.
Did you get a price on those?
About $2,500.
we should do it.
Yeah, I thought we had already agreed
Yeah.
to do it, honestly, so, yeah.
I had to get a
I
price.
knew you were gonna get the price.
I didn't want to just go out and spend it
Okay,
without a-
I'll make a
with it-
motion.
'cause we didn't have a
for
vote.
new flagpoles.
Okay, second.
So I can
All in favor?
Aye.
How many flagpoles would that be? Just
114. So, all right, thank you for that. Old business, which is also everything on that. Just run through this. Ditches, we need to be thinking about, again, equipment or contracting out ditches for this year. We need to know that by appropriations.
Quentin has a couple people who are gonna cruise through and do estimates, just to,
Yeah.
And then how about our bids? I mean, are we gonna get any, we contacted all these different dealers, all these people that,
Anything over $20,000, yes, it's gonna be a bid process,
well, and then,
an extensive
yeah,
process.
we need to get them all involved and,
We'll post a public bid that we're looking for whatever.
Yep.
That's something I'll get with Chris about, and he will. We want to buy a new piece of equipment. It's going to cost over 20,000. I will get with you on that. I just was telling the board we need to know by appropriations. Tennis court fence. I'm getting nowhere with that. Park, new water services. That's something we'll talk about eventually. We got 4 people outside of town that want to hook to our town water service. I was curious if we could or would sell water to someone outside the municipality. That's for another time. We ain't got time for that. 3% raise for Claire. That'll be for appropriations. I'd like everybody to think about that. Basically, cost of living raise. Donations done. Street signs. I've gotten nowhere on street signs. Gotten nowhere on UTV inspections. Trash day. I told Joyce to set that up. I don't have time to set up trash day.
so we just need dumpsters.
We need to call someone and get dumpsters. I was hoping to have the estimates here so we could approve the dumpsters. Well, now we won't be able to do it until May to just approve it. And I'm not doing it.
So,
well,
Why do we have to wait till May to get them?
We have to have approval from the board to spend the money.
or Chelsea, I mean, any,
I mean, I don't care.
Anybody
at all.
can. I just flat out don't
So
have.
if I,
Draw the line
because
somewhere.
people
I don't
are
have time to do it.
asking, we've all seen.
A lot of
that-
people are asking.
Yes. And everyone's saying May. I feel like May is a good time to do it. So if we get, like 2 companies to quote dumpsters, is that what we're doing? Or are we just trying to get somebody who will
I don't
come
care.
in for a cleanup
I
day?
don't care who does it.
I just don't know how it works. I guess I can just call
So-
them.
get the best price and,
Okay.
We could call Republic and GFI and Mark Twain, not Mark Twain, Big River, and get 3 prices
And take the best one.
and take the lowest one.
I
And
will
if the
call.
board would like to go ahead and spend an estimated $3,500 on trash cleanup this year, we could go ahead and vote on it. We can pull the trigger on it.
Let's do it.
I'm just drawing a line somewhere of things I don't have
no,
time for.
I mean,
I make-
we need to do it.
I
because
make a
that's the only way
motion
town's
that
gonna
we-
stay cleaned up.
That we go ahead and initiate $3,500 for trash day.
And it's technically, it's already in our appropriation budget, so
Yes. I
it's
make a
already,
motion.
The people we had last year wasn't working day.
they're not in business anymore. So we won't be using them. All
You
right.
just need to be ready at the May meeting to approve who's gonna be
Yeah.
doing it.
And it's already in our appropriations
And
to spend that money,
hopefully
so
you find it.
I can go,
A date.
if somebody
So we
gets some
can-
information, we can call a special meeting. I need 4 of you here. We can vote, we can go home. So,
Okay, I will figure that out.
burn pile blocks. Did anybody
Yep.
Yes.
got them?
Uh,
I talked to Bridget Bly today and to verify, it's a 2x2x4
Mm-hmm.
block. It has nubs on it or you can get the flats.
Mm-hmm.
They're 1,900 pounds each and they're $45 each. They will deliver and place them with a boom for $350 per trip. And they can carry 24 on a boom.
And we wouldn't even need 24, to tell you the truth.
And she
just get
suggested
it-
that we only go no more than 3 high.
Yeah, we really don't need to go very high.
No,
No.
a couple of them is enough to have,
Right.
if they're 2 foot, so you're talking 4 foot tall, that's more than enough to put a compost pile in for the people that dump their grass, wanna throw their leaves in it, all the junk like that.
All right, I need a
We're
motion.
thinking 9 is what we would need.
I mean, how many do we,
3,
how wide's the bucket of the
3.
tractor?
No, be 18.
6 foot probably.
Okay, so you got a couple feet extra if you went 2 of them across the back. You got 8 foot there.
For $345, you want to just get on a truckload?
Yeah.
Need a motion to get 24-ish to spend $345 for
Well-
concrete
Well,
blocks.
wait.
It's more than
$25.
that.
It's $350 to deliver.
It's
It's
$350 to deliver
$45
and
a piece.
$45 a piece.
All right, somebody plug me in the math real quick, and I'll ask for a motion.
How many was on a truckload? 24?
Yeah.
24 times 45,
Mhm.
$1,080 plus the 300 and whatever for delivery.
$350 flat for delivery and to
14.30.
place them.
So we'd have to spend that out of our general fund because it's not appropriated for
So
anything. Is
basically
everybody okay with
1,500.
that?
I'm good with it. I think we have to do that to keep the grass and all the stuff separated
Okay,
and cleaned.
need a motion to get a trailer load of
So moved.
blocks for $1,400.
I second it.
All in favor?
Alright.
Aye.
All right, we're getting there. Cross connected surveys, addresses for 911. I'm getting complaints. There's really nothing I can do about that. Or we can.
What's that?
Like Rod's address being wrong, your
Oh.
address being
Same.
wrong. I've got more complaints about it. Literally nothing I can do about that.
So
It's
we-
not me. It's the county.
Mhm.
And I've talked to several people about it, and it gets me nowhere.
So
I think it's. I think it's gonna have to
you would go to
go
a
there in person and.
ag subcommittee meeting of the Pike County Board. They are the ones that handle zoning
Okay.
and questions like that.
Okay.
They would, you may have to sit there for a couple hours, but they handle animal control. But that subcommittee of the county board is who you need to, if you want to go to a meeting, that's
Well, I
where
don't
you
wanna
go.
go to a meeting, but I will if that's what it's gonna take to get my
We also have a-
address stuff straight.
Clerk, can't remember her name. I got her phone number. She's very helpful. She's the clerk for Judge Roseberry. Haley? No. Anyway,
Ashley?
no.
I've got her name written down.
I do too. Okay. I don't have anything else on that. Are there any new ordinance citations for this month? You have
They're,
the 2 continuances, but those are just
right,
continuances.
now, and I sent the letter,
Yeah.
and, basically, it's just a warning.
Yeah, we had.
So I don't have anything, but I have went around town, and there are several, addresses that I found with vehicles,
Yeah, they're getting kind of thick.
and, trash. And I know we can't do anything about the cats, but there are 2 locations in town that were,
We got
The
issues.
animal
So,
shelter is coming.
they
in
will.
December.
People are seriously getting irritated.
So
Yeah.
I've been in touch with the animal control on this. I just don't have anything to present to the board yet.
right.
So they run off of,
Do we want pictures? What do we want? Because
Um,
people are like really upset that all this
Yeah.
is.
so,
They're coming from a location.
yeah. I
2
know.
locations in town.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
and it's horrible.
I don't have anything to present yet, but I did, so in that ag committee subcommittee meeting that I went to, spoke with the animal control about, they were talking about their yearly budget, and they run out of a trust to capture these cats and spay and neuter them. So there's only a certain amount of money, and I said, well, what if the village you were trapping in helped? Why wouldn't we?
Right.
We do already pay animal control, but why would we just approve X amount of dollars to help spay cats?
Right.
That money, it's expensive, and it got to come from somewhere. So I don't have anything to present to the board yet, but I should by next meeting. Lotus is the one I've been speaking with. She's running the animal shelter up there
And
now.
I can talk to her again too, because I've spoken with her several times.
Yeah, she's very
She's
nice.
great. She really is.
So,
There are just certain houses around town that's got tons of cats.
Yeah.
okay. All right. Due to time constraints, we'll cross ordinances off so that those are all in the warning stage.
Right.
I would like to say, coming up, if you're going to do grass warnings, make sure we might edit in that that's the only warning you're going to get for the year. We're not going to write a warning get close to a ticket, they mow the grass, and then we gotta write another ticket a month later. And, Pleasant Hill does it that way, and Pittsfield. There will be
Hannibal does too.
one written warning per calendar year. So, alright, maintenance report, quickest one you've ever done.
Okay, I was been having trouble with this lift station over there with Sweet Street
Mm-hmm.
for a couple weeks. I don't know what I did, but, I lifted the, float out of it and dropped it back in and it's been working since, so, I don't know, but I got it fixed. This is just, I think it's more than the float than anything else. I've read all the water meters and all the receipts and, I got two of these there. Now you shut them off and visit with them and get the, see what's going on and we trying to work with them. If not, I'll just
Yep.
shut them off.
And that's allowed in the ordinance.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, Yeah.
You have say.
yeah, and the coffee machine, the yellow light was flashing. And I had one over here, and I put it in, and I started it, and I always go back over to Hannibal and get a new one, so I have it, when that goes out. I'm not got a new one over there.
Okay.
Is it a toner?
Yeah. And, I had a flat tire on the old John Deere board, took it off, and I filled around inside there, and there were bearings going out of it. So I went to Steinberg, two sets of bearings, one for the both tires, and I got some new blades on hand. So I got my vents built up, so I had to work some gas, so that's about it. I'll burn some on this disc too.
Okay.
Out of it, so.
You can fill me in this week if there's anything else to add. Alright, comments. Don.
I don't know if I missed a few meetings, so I don't know exactly what went on with all the dogs and stuff, but the one that bit the kid,
Mm-hmm.
they just got a new fence put up all the way around.
Yeah, I talked to her about that on Sunday.
So they started doing the best. You know that fence is great, but when Sandy got bit, some of them dogs had leashes on them, but they were like the old clothesline you used to put up, hang your clothes on the outside.
That wire.
It states in our ordinance what you can tie your dog up with if it's not an offense.
It what?
It states in the ordinance what you can tie your dog up with if it's not going to be an offense. So if we find something like that, that would be an ordinance violation that we could address.
Well, we've had several dogs that they somehow or another they're always around our house. It seems like Sandy takes that little dog out for a walk, and first thing you know, you got dogs all over the place. And a lot of them's got that little bitty thin clothesline, and it popping any size dog at all they can get out. So,
Anything future, report that. You can report it to me. It's not that I don't mind getting them, and I can pass them on. It's just I'm not the animal catcher. So,
well, for me, if something happens again, I'll call
and you can call me and I can call them. Yeah, but what
yeah.
you're better off. I get complaints, a lot of complaints about this dog's loose and that dog's loose, and I get them on Sunday afternoons at 3 o'clock, and it drives me crazy.
Yeah,
And I'm not the animal control person, Call Pike County Animal Control. We pay them and we contract them, so call them.
we've took several dogs
So-
home so people wouldn't get in trouble.
Yeah.
I'd hate for something to happen. My little dog would get out and somebody would do
Yeah.
something. And I'd have
There's a
to
difference
find
if your dog's just loose or it's running after someone and biting them. So,
it. Yeah.
Rob?
Well, this was kind of on the same lines. I've had a couple people say something to me about is there ordinance for pit bulls
No.
being on a chain. So I didn't know if there was anything specific in our ordinance, our dog ordinance, that,
Not unless somebody wants to write one and vote it in.
I want to write one.
well, there's,
So,
you know, the house across from me
Mhm.
has had
issues.
3 or 4 different people
Yeah.
over there and they've all had them, okay?
So,
There's a new pit bull in town.
Great.
So, and it's, and,
Oh.
and I don't know that
you
it's,
told me about.
I don't know that it'll do anything, but it has jumped, lunged at one person already.
Okay.
So,
We can,
I just
so-
have a feeling if it ever gets loose, there might be an issue.
we can have her check about how it's being tied out or whatever. Just another reminder, I know it's late, but any of this board can submit an idea for a vote. Actually, when I ask for a motion, I'm not doing a motion, I'm asking for someone else to do a motion. You guys do the motions. If you have a motion, throw it on the table.
And then.
I don't do motion. I
Well,
only
and-
suggest them.
Then yesterday, there was somebody at the park with their pit bull. And it was on a leash, but the leash was dropped and it was just walking around. That's a place for
That's an
children.
ordinance violation.
We see that a lot.
Did you see that?
We see a lot of dogs that are not on a leash and stuff in the park. All we gotta do is look at our front door and
Okay.
see it. Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
Okay.
No, I think we covered the burn pile, or, you know, the
Yep.
mulch area.
It's on my list.
Where are we gonna put the limbs and stuff like that?
Well, I
Same
think,
place.
They-
It was well
yeah,
said.
but this will keep this, as long as everybody follows it, you know, this is a compost pile. Grass and leaves is all that goes between these concrete.
Did we get signs? Did we need signs?
We need to get some.
We can get something,
It's
Sign
another-
Pro, we can go, I mean, we
Yeah.
can.
We'll get it.
It's another thing I haven't gotten
But I'm good.
to. Okay. Sheila,
I don't have anything.
Council. All right, need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Second? Aye. All right, I guess I will mail out all the bills this month.
Why don't you give them to me? I'll put them in the mail tomorrow.
Nope. Oh, well.
You know, that neighbor